Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 40 based on novel. So let's start. Wu Zhongkong said, "You're still young and there are some things you needn't know about just yet. As long as you remember my words, you'll be fine. The Spirit Pagoda doesn't think the same way you do. They possess so much power that even the Federation is afraid of them. Moreover, the Spirit Pagoda spans across to other continents too." Tang Wulin was stunned. Other continents? The Star Luo continent and the Heaven Do continent? Teacher, have you ever been to the other two continents? Do you know what's different about them? Tang Wulin curiously asked. Wu Zhongkong calmly answered, "There are many different kinds of places in this world, and you'll know what they are like when you visit them in the future, but for now, you shouldn't be thinking about that. Now tell me, what did you feel in the Spirit Ascension platform today?" Seeing that Wu Zhongkong didn't wish to talk about the other two continents, Tang Wulin wisely chose to drop the topic and quickly began explaining his thoughts. "Teacher Wu, after absorbing all that spirit energy today, I realized that it'll be extremely hard for my teammates with 2 soul rings to evolve their spirit souls. In fact, it's practically impossible for them to evolve them to the 1,000-year level since the spirit energy is split between their 2 rings evenly. Even if they did evolve their spirit souls to the 1,000-year level, their bodies wouldn't be able to bear 2,000-year soul rings, not to mention that neither Wang Jin's nor Zhong Yang's spiritual power is strong enough to handle a single 1,000-year spirit soul yet. Isn't this the reason it's so hard for soul masters to evolve their spirit souls in the Spirit Ascension platform?" Wu Zhongkong nodded. "The fact that you've arrived at this conclusion shows just how seriously you have been thinking about this. Not bad. Even if you had enough resources to enter the Spirit Ascension platform more times, there is still a limit to what your body can handle. In the end, your chances of success would still be tiny. What you really should be considering isn't that." Tang Wulin nodded in understanding. "I think my situation is actually a bit special. My body is stronger than an ordinary soul master, so I'm actually able to support a 1,000-year soul ring despite only having 1 ring. I'm not restricted to an up to 400 years ring like other 1-ring soul masters. My spiritual power is also at the spirit connection realm, so if I absorb enough spirit energy, I should be able to gain a 1,000-year spirit soul, right?" For a moment, a glimmer of surprise twinkled in Wu Zhongkong's eyes before he nodded and said, "It's possible in theory, but you will have to absorb enough spirit energy to evolve your spirit soul before you gain a second soul ring. Moreover, your body will need to be able to bear 2,000-year soul rings when it comes time for your second soul ring." Wu Zhongkong's words immediately reminded Tang Wulin of something. "That's right. If I evolve my spirit soul to the 1,000-year level, that means my second soul ring will also be at the 1,000-year level. It's no problem for me to handle 1,000-year soul ring right now, but will I be able to handle 2,000-year soul rings by the time I become a soul grandmaster?" Wu Zhongkong continued, "How about this, we'll run some tests on your body later and figure out just how much you can bear. We already know your spiritual power can support a single 1,000-year spirit soul, so all that's left to determine is whether or not your body can bear 2,000-year soul rings. You'll really be a unique case if you can." "Thank you, teacher. Teacher Wu isn't the only person I can ask about how much my body can bear. I can also ask Old Tang." After Tang Wulin left, Wu Zhongkong sat there in deep thought. There really is something special about Tang Wulin. I think he'll actually be able to do it. Should he actually obtain a 1,000-year spirit soul, then even though his martial soul is weak, it will be enough to make up for it and make him strong. This set of circumstances is even rare in Shrek Academy. However, this isn't a certainty. After all, I've never entered the land of the true monsters of Shrek. He should only be a step away from evolving his spirit soul once more. It seems I'll need to conduct some special tests on him." Wu Zhongkong narrowed his eyes. "It's best to keep this matter a secret from the Spirit Pagoda. At the very least, this can't be revealed until he's stronger." As his train of thought traveled along this path, a series of plans began to form. He had never expected these children to make such a great harvest this time in the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform. Without a doubt, having survived the longest, it was Tang Wulin who had benefited the most. He had absorbed the most spirit energy with Guu in second place. She had suddenly broke through to become a 2-ringed soul grandmaster, gaining enough power to even defeat a 3-ringed soul elder who had 2 spirit souls and a powerful martial soul. It was true that her opponent had been careless, but it would have been impossible to grasp victory without her insane control over the elements. Nobody knew just how strong Guu's spiritual power was after gaining her second soul ring. This little girl had a chance of reaching the Spirit Sea realm by the time she turned 15. The other spirit souls had also made some progress, but now they were faced with a problem. They couldn't enter the Spirit Ascension platform again for a while, otherwise they might accidentally absorb too much spirit energy which would negatively influence their bodies. He had never expected they would make so much progress in a short 6 months. According to the original plan they had for Class 0, they shouldn't be this powerful until the 3rd grade. It seems I'll have to adjust the originally planned curriculum. Old Tang, now that I have fully absorbed the power of the first seal, how many soul rings and spirit souls can my body handle? The moment Tang Wulin returned to his room, he began meditating to call out Old Tang. Old Tang's body was still bathed in a golden light, but for some reason, Tang Wulin felt as though the light had grown a bit more resplendent than before. Old Tang also no longer seemed as transparent to him. Old Tang asked, "Oh? What do you mean? Is there a problem with your soul rings?" Tang Wulin didn't know why, but he placed an immense amount of trust in this mysterious Old Tang that dwelled within his body. He didn't bother to hide anything as he explained what had happened in the Spirit Ascension platform, as well as his thoughts on the spirit soul evolution he had already experienced. After hearing his explanation, Old Tang suddenly blurted out, "I understand what you're thinking. You're worried that your body won't be able to absorb that much spirit energy, correct?" "That's right. That's what I'm worried about." Tang Wulin hurriedly added, "So what level of soul ring do you think my body can bear right now? And my spirit soul?" Old Tang said, "This is actually a very simple matter since there's no one more familiar with your body than I. Your spiritual power is gradually increasing, but your job to find a way to improve faster. It would be best for you to find a spiritual power cultivation method that will help you increase your spiritual power improvement rate. With your current level, you should be able to support a single 1,000-year spirit soul or 200-year spirit souls. As for soul rings, you need not worry. Having absorbed the power of the Golden Dragon King's first seal, it'll be no problem for your body to bear 2,000-year soul rings." Tang Wulin said, "Then, is it possible for me to break the second seal before I reach rank 20? And what level will my body reach after absorbing the second seal's power?" Old Tang answered, "Based on your body's current condition, it should be possible. However, you will need to find the items I told you about first. You can only break the second seal after obtaining those items. You will also need to strengthen your body further by that time. Actually, if you really can evolve your spirit soul and soul ring to the 1,000-year level, it will provide you with an overall improvement to both your body and essence, so I fully encourage you to evolve them before you reach rank 20. When that time comes, I'll give you some new advice. Just remember though, the earlier you break the seals, the higher the chance they will break on their own in the future, and so your period of safety will become even smaller." "The seals will break on their own? They can do that?" Tang Wulin doubtfully asked. Old Tang said, "Of course. If you grow old enough or accidentally run into something that purifies the Golden Dragon King's essence, then there's a chance that a seal might break forcefully. Should that happen, you'll be faced with great danger. More importantly, the latter seals will become even firmer. Basically, the more seals you break by yourself, the lower the chances are that the following seals will break automatically and endanger your life. It would be best you if they never break by themselves, otherwise." Old Tang didn't finish his sentence, but the grim tone in his voice made his meaning clear. "Thank you, Old Tang. I'll definitely do my best. My goal now is to first evolve my spirit soul to the 1,000-year level." "That's right. Do your best. You all scored highly on yesterday's exam, and this can be attributed to each of you doing exactly what was necessary. It seems that the last 3 months haven't been a waste after all. At the very least, you are now a functional team. Strangely enough, although Wu Zhongkong was clearly praising his students, his voice was still as icy as ever. The 5 students were doubting whether they should be happy or ashamed. Tang Wulin, your control has obviously made much progress. Good work, and continue to do your best. Unfortunately, every one of you has absorbed too much spirit energy yesterday, so once the final exam period is over, we'll run some tests again and figure out just how much more spirit energy your bodies can bear. Keep in mind that it is absolutely crucial that you do not absorb energy beyond your limits. Based on his initial observations, Wu Zhongkong proceeded to summarize the battles from the previous day and gave them his assessment. The 5 students couldn't help but beam proudly as he talked about the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform, especially when he mentioned the man-faced demon spider. A sort of wonderfully unfathomable feeling still lingered in their hearts at the thought of that battle. Although Gu had not yet broken through to 2 rings at the time of that battle, her tactics had been absolutely perfect. Tang Wulin, I have a question for you. Was it part of your plan to use the man-faced demon spider's toxic webs after its death to kill even more soul beasts? Wu Zhongkong's burning gaze bore into Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin ardently shook his head. I was thinking that if I let it spin its web, then it would lower its guard and we would be able to use the webs as a protective barrier after it died. I never imagined that the webs would actually kill so many soul beasts for us, letting us absorb so much spirit energy. Wu Zhongkong gave a slight nod. While your coordination control was exceptional, you must keep in mind that the essence of a control system soul master is to never let your opponent know your intent. This time, your constant, coordinated attacks served to misdirect the enemy's attention, creating a vital opening for you. At the mention of this, Tang Wulin could only scratch his head in embarrassment. Wu Zhongkong continued, but you are still not calm enough. After killing the man-faced demon spider, it was clear that you all lost your previous tension. Compared to your state of mind from before the battle, the difference was too great. Did you feel satisfied after gaining that much in the Spirit Ascension platform? The students looked at each other in dismay. Even Tang Wulin was no different in that he had harbored the same thoughts at that time. After all, by then, they had already gained far more than they had planned. Wu Zhongkong said, then let me ask you one question. What if you had been in a real forest that time, facing a horde of rebellious soul beasts? Would you still be standing before me now? No one dared to utter a word. Wu Zhongkong continued his lecture. Remember this, no matter how enticing or how beneficial something is, it cannot compare to the value of your life. Xie meekly said, Teacher Wu, I have a question. If we encounter something like the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw bear in the future, what should we do? Wu Zhongkong answered without the slightest hesitation. Run. If you don't run, then you die. Xie stared at Wu Zhongkong in shock. Wu Zhongkong said, the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw bear is a special kind of soul beast. From the moment of its birth, it is a king. Its strength simply can't be measured in years, unlike normal soul beasts. But there's no point in continuing this conversation. It would be miraculous for you to encounter a Dusk Gold Dreadclaw bear in the future, since they have already been hunted to near extinction long ago. Is it because they are dangerous? Zhong Yangzi asked. Wu Zhongkong shook his head. No. It's because there's a high chance of collecting a soul bone from them. From the perspective of soul beasts, humanity is the greediest existence in the world. Soul beasts are on the brink of extinction not because they are a danger to us, but because hunting them brings us too many benefits. Tang Wulin was dumbstruck at these words. For the first time, he was exposed to the true relationship between humanity and soul beasts. When he thought back to all the soul beasts he had killed in the Spirit Ascension platform, his feelings of triumph couldn't help but turn a bit sour. Those soul beasts had only been illusory existences, but still. Sun with rays. Big brother, don't be so angry, Xu Xiaoyan timidly begged her brother. Xu Xiaoyu's distorted expression looked ready to erupt. He couldn't feel anything but anger at the moment. Their clan had paid such a heavy price to obtain entry cards to the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform for the two of them, yet, due to his moment of carelessness, they had both been eliminated. The sensation of being annihilated by that elemental attack remained vivid in his mind. It had taken him a full day of rest to recover. The only people in the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform region we entered yesterday should have been Soul Masters from East Sea City. From their age, they should currently be attending an intermediate academy. Could they really be students of East Sea Academy? Xu Xiaoyu narrated his thoughts with an ashen expression. Xu Xiaoyan remained stunned for a moment. Really? If that's true, then they should be my seniors. Although Xu Xiaoyu was the only son in their clan, his stubbornness and arrogance displeased the elders. On the other hand, the gentle and timid Xu Xiaoyan was an absolute treasure in their eyes. Despite the fact that Xu Xiaoyan was gifted with innate soul power, she didn't like to cultivate. Fortunately, with an outstanding elder brother like Xu Xiaoyu protecting her, no one dared force her. When she had first awakened her martial soul 3 years ago, the clan had run tests on her using their equipment, only to discover that not only did she have soul power at rank 17, she also had a martial soul that had undergone a starlight phenomena rarely seen throughout the history of their clan. After this, they realized that she was an even greater genius than the outstanding Xu Xiaoyu. The Xu family was the largest clan in East Sea City, and Xu Xiaoyu and Xu Xiaoyan's father was the minister of East Sea City's financial affairs, which was a position with much prestige and influence. When he found out that his daughter possessed the legendary martial soul of their clan, he was simply overjoyed. He used his power and influence to obtain another entrance card so that his son and daughter could enter the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform together. Before they entered, he had repeatedly warned Xu Xiaoyu to take care of his little sister and to help her gain as much spirit energy as possible. Due to Xu Xiaoyan's timidness and her lack of soul master training, she had been cowering in fear behind her brother from the moment they entered the Spirit Ascension platform. She didn't have the courage to kill a single soul beast. Xu Xiaoyu was able to absorb a great amount of spirit power, but his younger sister, with her reluctance to kill, had barely absorbed any. As he tried his hardest to convince her to at least attack the next soul beast they came across, they accidentally stumbled upon Tang Wulin's team of 5. Afterwards, they were met with tragedy. Upon returning home, not only did he have to suffer the side effects to his body, he also had to endure a lecture from his father. It would have been strange if he was still in a good mood after all that. Don't let me find out who they are, otherwise, I won't be able to stop myself. Xu Xiaoyu said grimly. Despite his words, Ji Yuyu's apathetic expression and serene appearance appeared within his mind. Although she wasn't as pretty as his little sister, she possessed an amazing temperament. Just how had she been able to control that many elements? Even now, Xu Xiaoyu's heart was in turmoil with his doubts and confusion. Sun with rays. Teacher Wu, the final part of our exam is about to start. Will today's combat class be postponed? Zhong Yangzi flatteringly asked Wu Zhongkong the moment he entered the room. This was to be expected, of course. With their holidays upon them, it was only normal for students to start feeling a bit lazy. Wu Zhongkong dully said, due to the amount of spirit power you all absorbed this time in the Spirit Ascension platform, the Academy has arranged for you to test your soul ring year levels and your bodies again. Don't think that you can squander your time just because you are young. If you don't put in effort at this age, it'll be useless to begin putting in effort when you grow old. Don't you all have a good understanding of each other? Combat class will still proceed as planned. I've thought about it for a while, and considering your current situations, it wouldn't be suitable for you all to enter the Spirit Ascension platform again for a while. Your combat classes will actually need to be modified a bit. Follow me. Wu Zhongkong immediately turned on his heel and walked out. Crestfallen, Zhong Yangzi muttered, Teacher Wu is so unreasonable. Xie Xie's mouth twitched as he said, just be content with how things are. I can't even count the number of advanced department students that want Teacher Wu to teach them. Catch up, Tang Wulin cut in. The 5 students followed Wu Zhongkong to the Academy's training facilities. These facilities were specially prepared for students to engage in real combat. It was equipped with a soul barrier to minimize the damage caused by stray soul skills. Are we being demoted? Zhong Yangzi covertly whispered to Wang Jinsi. This training facility was frequently used by the ordinary students. After joining Class 0 for several months, they hadn't come here as much, so it was only natural that Zhong Yangzi was confused. Their combat training had largely been conducted in the Spirit Ascension platform against the various soul beasts as, after all, they wouldn't be sufficiently challenged otherwise. Wang Jinsi shot him an annoyed glare. You really speak a lot of nonsense. Eh? Wu Zhongkong found the teacher in charge of the building and reserved a training field for them. The training fields varied in size, ranging from 30 to 50 meters in diameter. The facility had 3 floors in total. Each floor had 4 training fields of differing sizes, and each field was usually bustling with students from all grades training. Wu Zhongkong had requested a field on the 3rd floor as it was currently empty. This way, they would be able to train in peace. Wu Zhongkong brought them to a large training field that reached 50 meters in diameter. Xie eagerly asked, Teacher Wu, we 3 going to fight against them too? He. Xie shifted his gaze to Zhong Yangzi, a mischievous grin on his lips as he geared up for battle. No, Wu Zhongkong said in a cold voice. The 5 of you willing be battling me? 5 against 1, that's very unfair. Huh? Against you, Xie stared at Wu Zhongkong, dumbfounded. With his usual indifference, Wu Zhongkong said, Don't forget, this no longer is the Spirit Ascension platform. You won't revive here in the real world and I might not be able to properly hold back. I will suppress my soul power to the same rank as you all, and I won't amplify my soul rings. This time, however, I will be using my martial soul. Begin. Without even giving the students a chance to respond, soul rings immediately rose up from beneath his feet. 2 yellow, 2 purple and 2 black soul rings appeared. An unstoppable aura engulfed the students for a split second before his soul power rapidly decreased to about rank 20. An ice blue sword appeared in his right hand. It was as if his usual coldness had condensed into that glacial sword. A rarely seen tender expression graced his face. White robes and blue sword, sky ice and snow cold. These words couldn't help but pop into Tang Wulin's head. The memory of when Wu Zhongkong revealed his martial soul in the battle against Guang Biao was still crystal clear in his mind. He hadn't even been able to make out what sort of attacks Wu Zhongkong had used back then, and the battle had already ended in a few brief moments. Yet today, they were supposed to face his Skyfrost sword? Into formation. Tang Wulin's thunderous order shocked the rest of his comrades out of their stupor. Gu was the first to respond, appearing behind Tang Wulin in a flash. Wang Jinsi, Zhong Yangzi and Xie moved into their positions, forming a cross with Gu at the center and poised to face Wu Zhongkong. Tang Wulin shouted, Everyone, be careful. I'll restrain him, Gu, you control the battle. The rest of you, focus on attacking. Go. Blue-silver grass gathered in his right hand as he spoke. Tang Wulin had learned from his experiences in the Spirit Ascension platform and was far more skillful in his control over the vines now. Strand after strand of blue-silver grass issued forth, closing in on Wu Zhongkong's position. At his rear, 2 soul rings sparkled as Gu raised her hands to shoot out a series of blazing fireballs at Wu Zhongkong. With some flying straight at him and others arcing toward him, Wu Zhongkong faced a fiery assault. Although ice could indeed extinguish fire, fire could also melt ice. After taking into consideration the fact that Wu Zhongkong had lowered his soul power rank to their level, Gu decisively chose to first suppress his attribute. Dozens of fireballs filled the air, some quick, some slow. Regardless of which, in the end, they all shot toward Wu Zhongkong. The fireballs besieged him from all sides, seemingly impossible for him to deal with the all at once. Tang Wulin's blue-silver grass exploded forth at the same time. A multitude of strands engulfed Wu Zhongkong, binding his body. Xie, Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi dashed forward from different directions, but all 3 converged towards Wu Zhongkong. With strands of blue-silver grass tied around their waists, Tang Wulin was in complete control of them. The first to arrive were the fireballs. Despite this, Wu Zhongkong's gaze never left his Skyfrost sword. He took a slow and calculated step to the side as the fireballs seemed to slow down. In the blink of an eye, the Skyfrost sword's chilly aura filled the training grounds. Dozens of fireballs extinguished quietly, and as their warm light disappeared, the surroundings returned to its original luster. For a brief moment, a sliver of emotion made it past Gu's grim expression. She had felt the cause of her fireballs obliterated instantly by Wu Zhangkong's move. The next second, Wu Zhongkong moved in an eerie rhythm, his mystical footwork dodging the bindings of blue-silver grass as they shot forth one after another. At that instant, he was no different from a ghostly general, his body almost illusory. This scene shocked and dazzled the assault team of 3 to their very bones. Not good. Tang Wulin pulled ferociously on several strands of blue-silver grass as he shouted, "Withdraw. It's best not to aim too high against an opponent like Teacher Wu. We need to avoid making any mistakes and prioritize our safety first." His reaction was swift enough, but his actions were still lacking in power. Xie Xie had understood Tang Wulin's thoughts from the very beginning, so the moment he heard the order to withdraw, he had immediately changed directions and flown back at his maximum speed. Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi, on the other hand, were a moment too slow. The frost had already crept onto their bodies. They were not fools though. Having learned from past experiences, they instantly locked hands and were enshrouded in a black light. Martial Soul Fusion Skill. Shadow Eagle Dragon. They didn't dare to hold back against Wu Zhongkong. Waves of darkness rippled out, unveiling a monstrous scene. Wang Jinsi's aura had clearly grown stronger, however, there was a hint of dissonance between him and Zhong Yangzi. The two of them let out a groan before their bodies quickly separated. 2 cold lights landed on their bodies, causing them to stiffen in place as Wu Zhongkong appeared before them. What's going on? He didn't continue attacking and began to examine the two instead. Their soul fusion skill failed? Although they had only partially succeeded in using their soul fusion skill during the class promotion tournament, it was still considered a success. But now, their soul fusion skill had actually failed? Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi paled. They both knew that their martial souls weren't particularly powerful, and it was only because of their soul fusion skill that they had been able to enter the ranks of geniuses with a slim possibility of becoming famous powerhouses in the continent in the future. Yet, their soul fusion skill had just failed. They were dumbstruck. Try it again. Wu Zhongkong moved back and brandished his Skyfrost sword once again. The chill immediately returned. Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi exchanged a knowing look as they charged at each other once again, their soul powers pushed to their very limits. A pair of wings unfurled from Zhong Yangzi's back as he swept Wang Jinsi into his arms. Wang Jinsi mirrored Zhong Yangzi, and the two collided in the next moment. A deep dragon's roar rumbled from Wang Jinsi as his Bone Dragon King and Zhong Yangzi's Shadow Phantasm Eagle fused in an instant. They could feel Wang Jinsi's body rejecting the fusion immediately. It was as if his body was trying to push Zhong Yangzi out the moment it saw the Shadow Phantasm Eagle. Zhong Yangzi stumbled away from Wang Jinsi and landed his butt. Suddenly, he was filled with rage as he shouted, "Wang Jinsi, what is the meaning of this? Why won't you fuse with me? I didn't do anything." Wang Jinsi stared at him in confusion. He couldn't comprehend what was going on either. Wu Zhongkong knitted his brows and turned to Zhong Yangzi. "Calm down. This isn't something Wang Jinsi can control. I fear that there really might be a problem with your soul fusion skill now." Zhong Yangzi got up from the floor, breathing heavily. On the other side, Wang Jinsi's eyes clouded with apprehension as a vague reason formulated within his mind. Wu Zhongkong went silent for a moment. "Jinsi's martial soul has probably mutated, so now your two martial souls aren't compatible enough to use your soul fusion skill anymore." Wang Jinsi looked at Tang Wulin with a conflicted expression. Similarly, Tang Wulin also wore odd expression. Is it possible that his Bone Dragon King was influenced by our dual cultivation? His gaze alternating between Wang Jinsi and Tang Wulin, Zhong Yangzi began to have an inkling as to the cause. After all, he was a bright kid. Could it be because the two of you are cultivating together? Wang Jinsi let out a sigh that was filled with all his pent-up emotions. "I can't think of any reason other than that. Wu Zhongkong said, today's classes will end here. Tang Wulin, Wang Jinsi, you two follow me. I need to examine your martial souls. Yes. It was a very simple process to examine their martial souls. Wu Zhongkong simply used his own soul power to scan their bodies and observe any changes that had occurred when they used their martial souls. Jinsi, I am almost certain that the problem was caused by Tang Wulin's influence on your martial soul. As an individual, it's something fortunate since your martial soul is mutating to a higher level under the influence of Tang Wulin's bloodline. As for how far it will mutate, I have no way of knowing. The one thing I can be certain of, though, is that if you continue to cultivate with Tang Wulin, your martial soul will continue to mutate, but you will likely no longer be able to use your soul fusion skill with Zhong Yangzi. That is the drawback of this situation. You need to carefully think things over and decide which direction you want to develop in. Wang Jinsi stilled, completely dumbstruck. Then, will I return to normal if I stop cultivating with Tang Wulin? Wu Zhongkong grimly said, from what I have seen so far, it should be possible. You two have only cultivated together for a few months and his soul power is weaker than yours, so he hasn't influenced you much. As a result, your martial soul mutation is still not firm, and you should be able to slowly return to normal if you stop cultivating with Tang Wulin. His bloodline's influence affects similar martial souls within a certain range though, so if you choose to stop, I will rearrange your rooms further apart from each other. Wang Jinsi raised his head to look at Tang Wulin, his eyes flickering with conflicting emotions. I'm sorry, Jinsi. I didn't know things would turn out like this. Tang Wulin earnestly apologized. He was well aware just how important a soul fusion skill was to soul masters. Wang Jinsi shook his head. How can I blame you for this? No one could have predicted it. Teacher Wu, is it fine if I return to my room and think about this before deciding? Wu Zhongkong nodded. Of course. This is an important decision. It's best for you to go back and think about it carefully. Wang Jinsi looked at Tang Wulin with a deep gaze before giving him a curt nod. Wu Zhongkong said, there's something else I must remind you. From my current observations, Tang Wulin's bloodline is actually gradually growing stronger. If you continue to cultivate with him, your martial soul could potentially grow even stronger than a soul fusion skill. Furthermore, that would purely be your strength as an individual. This is an important point to consider. Thank you, Teacher Wu. Sadness and bitterness found its way into Tang Wulin's heart after Wang Jinsi left. He had never expected that their mutually beneficial cultivation method would have such a large drawback. Wang Jinsi was still benefiting either way, but what about Zhong Yangzi? Without Wang Jinsi, he would no longer be able to use their soul fusion skill. Tang Wulin hated to see a situation such as this, but it had already happened, and the decision rested in Wang Jinsi's hands. It wasn't his place to try to influence Wang Jinsi's decision. A strange mood fell over Class 0 from that day onward. Zhong Yangzi became uncommunicative while Wang Jinsi was even more taciturn than usual. 2 days quickly passed and the second part of their final exam was upon them. Follow me. We're going to take the second part of the exam now. Wu Zhongkong said with his usual indifference. Teacher Wu. Wang Jinsi suddenly stood up. HM? Wu Zhongkong gave him a curious look. Tang Wulin also turned to stare at Wang Jinsi, a hint of dread welling within his heart as he anticipated what would happen next. Wang Jinsi hadn't been cultivating with him these last few days, and the moment they were dismissed from class he would immediately return to his room and not come out. Teacher Wu, I've decided. I won't cultivate with Tang Wulin anymore. Although Wang Jinsi spoke quickly and monotonously, his voice was resolute. Stunned, Zhong Yangzi stared at Wang Jinsi with wide eyes. Wu Zhongkong gazed at him for a moment before asking, and you have really thought this over carefully? Wang Jinsi earnestly nodded. While I might be able to reach even greater heights in the future if I continue cultivating with Tang Wulin, only I would benefit that way. I grew up with Zhong Yangzi, and we're the closest of childhood friends. We played with each other every day. We're inseparable and are practically brothers. I can't abandon him for my own sake, otherwise I wouldn't be able to live with myself. Besides, we're already 2-ringed Soul Grandmasters and have a Soul Fusion skill, so we can definitely be considered geniuses already. This is why I choose to cultivate with Zhong Yangzi. At this point, Wang Jinsi took a moment to stop and swept his gaze at Tang Wulin, Xie Xie, and Ji Yu Yu. He took in a deep breath, beating the drums of courage as he readied his next words. Also, Teacher Wu, thank you for this semester's guidance. I also thank my comrades as well, but I'm sorry, I want to transfer academies. I'll transfer schools together with Yangzi. Wulin's bloodline influence is just too much. As long as I stay within this academy, I'll continue to be influenced by him. Even during the last 2 days where I haven't been cultivating with him, I still felt oppressed by him. The only thing I can do now is leave. Tang Wulin was rendered speechless at these words. He had never expected that his mere presence would force Wang Jinsi to transfer academies. Jinsi, I can try to keep myself away from you if my effect is really that strong. You won't have to transfer academies then, Tang Wulin hastily interjected. Wang Jinsi relaxed as he let out a deep breath. A gentle smile found its way to his lips as he shook his head. Don't be silly. Wulin, you can't blame yourself for this. This decision isn't related to you at all. These changes happened to my body, not yours. You also could never have predicted that your bloodline would have such great influence either. This change won't affect our friendship at all, we just can't cultivate together any longer. It's not just my martial soul that's being affected, my mind is as well. Maybe if I leave you and go cultivate somewhere else for some time, I'll be able to return to normal. Ever since the class promotion tournament, I've felt this mental pressure, but I just never wanted to acknowledge it until now. Yangzi and I can still cultivate properly together, so you don't have to worry about us. Teacher Wu, I'll have to trouble you to handle the contract with the academy. I have already discussed things with my father and we've decided to pay for the resources that were used on Yangzi and I this semester. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Wang Jinsi bowed deeply before Wu Zhongkong, expressing his deep regret. Tang Wulin saw 2 water droplets fall to the floor as Wang Jinsi bowed. How could Wang Jinsi actually want to leave? They hadn't just become friends after a semester together, they had reached a rarely seen level of tacit understanding between soul masters. They had come together to form a squad that was able to kill a 100-year man-faced demon spider. How could he be willing to part with his cherished comrades now? This video will end here.